Part 17. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 161. Next. Su Yang and Wang Fuegui were sitting in the milk tea shop drinking milk tea. It took more than an hour before Li Feixuan and Lu Shushan came back from outside. Among them, Lu Shushan was carrying an exquisite shopping bag, probably buying clothes. Wang Fuegui, why didn't you use the anti-inflammatory and painkillers I bought for you? Lu Shushan's eyes immediately fell on Wang Fuegui. Do you need to care about it? Su Yang was sitting next to him, and Wang Fuegui said confidently, Lu Shushan, don't be too arrogant. 30 years from Hedong to 30 years from Hexi, don't bully young people into poverty. I will soon be able to suppress you, and I will crush you hard. I will torture you. Are you stupid? Lu Shushan looked confused. You are stupid. How could you say such a thing if you're not stupid? Haha, I'm too lazy to explain to you. Wang Fuegui came over and didn't take Lu Shushan seriously at all. He took the shopping bag from the other party's hand and opened it and said, let me see what you bought. Yo, underwear, it's just B cup, so small. When I, Mr. Wang, go to the club, the rigid standard for finding a technician is C, you are not up to standard. After learning what Lu Shushan bought, Wang Fuegui curled his lips with a sarcastic smile on his face. This made Lu Shushan angry and her pretty face turned red instantly. She didn't know whether it was because of shyness or anger. Young Master Wang, you have gone too far, Su Yang reminded from the side. What's too much? Young Master Wang continued to be sarcastic and said with a smile, Young Master Su, you know these things better than me. You must be more comfortable. Don't think I don't know. You like the D1, and you like the F1 more. You really deserve a beating like this. Su Yang looked at Lu Shushan with a dark face, and said calmly, Lu Shushan, you can do whatever you want, don't control yourself, this guy really needs to be disciplined. Yes. Lu Chu nodded sweetly. If she hadn't been worried that Su Yang would stop her, she would have taught Wang Fuegui a lesson. Now with young Master Su's permission, Lu Shushan's expression darkened, she grabbed Wang Fuegui's clothes and walked to the room inside the milk tea shop. Wang Fuegui was dumbfounded and struggled a few times, but to no avail. So he swallowed his saliva and begged in panic, Young Master Su, good brother, save me. Bless yourself, Su Yang smiled softly. Immediately afterwards, Wang Fuegui was pulled in by Lu Shushan, and then Wang Fuegui's miserable screams came from inside. Lu Shushan, Xiao Tian, eldest sister, I was wrong, please don't hit me. I didn't mean to laugh at you. In fact, I like the smaller one. The B1 is just right and can be held in one hand. Hey, Lu Shushan, don't think that I'm really afraid of you. Don't blame me for not reminding you. In a few days, I will be stronger than you. You should be nicer to me, otherwise I won't be merciful. Ah, falling in love is so painful. Su Yang and Li Feixuan did not stop at the milk tea shop. After buying milk tea, they left. A few minutes later, the two returned to the car. Su Yang sat in the driver's seat and Li Feixuan sat in the passenger seat. Wife. At this time, Su Yang looked at Li Feixuan and asked curiously, I often go to the club, are you really not angry? Angry, Li Feixuan said. Then why didn't you show it? Su Yang became even more curious. In front of outsiders, I have to save face for you, otherwise it will appear that I don't know the general situation. Li Feixuan met Su Yang's gaze, tangled her hair, and said seriously, also, I will only be a little angry and won't care too much. I know what kind of man you are. You can play outside, but you have to exercise caution. Li Feixuan added, I know you have me in your heart, and that's enough. As I said before, no matter how many women you have, I will always be the most important one in your heart. Honey, are you so open-minded and generous? Su Yang said with a smile. Um. Li Feixuan said seriously, Su Yang, I'm not kidding you. A truly outstanding man cannot avoid being surrounded by the opposite sex, and there are countless people who would throw themselves into his arms. I, concubine Li, don't like ordinary men. You are the man I like. You must be the best among the best. I have chosen you and I am mentally prepared. Li Feixuan continued, even if you have 10 or 100 women, I don't care, because it only shows that I didn't make a mistake. Since some things are destined to be unchangeable, why should I control you and make you unhappy and myself unhappy? Li Feixuan was very open-minded and smiled and said, Su Yang, you have to work hard and try to attract more women to prove that my vision is correct. Honey, you are really a woman who understands the general situation. Su Yang couldn't help but praise and admire Li Feixuan more and more, but then he promised, but don't worry, I am not the kind of sentimental man. I will only marry you in this life. TCH, come on. Li Feixuan rolled her eyes at Su Yang first, and then said, I hope you can find me some more sisters so that I can experience what it's like to be the master of the harem. Haha, wife, you have a good idea. However, if you want to be the master of the harem on TV, you must have children. Without the crown prince, your position as queen will not be secure. Su Yang looked at Li Feixuan and said with a playful smile, how about, wife, I will create a child with you first. Only then will the eldest son be qualified to be the crown prince. You are shameless, just thinking about those stupid things. Li Feixuan's face turned red instantly. Hee, come on, it's more exciting in the car. You're wearing a skirt, so you don't even have to take off your clothes. It's very convenient. Su Yang smiled evilly and pressed towards concubine Li. No, get out of the way. Li Feixuan hid for a moment, then whispered, I'm not feeling well today. Don't force yourself to do it. Wait, we'll see you again in a few days. Physically inconvenient? Su Yang understood instantly, then smiled softly and said, wife, don't be afraid, I just hug you, nothing else. That's okay. Li Feixuan did not refuse, but agreed, letting Su Yang hug her. But slowly, he realized that Su Yang's hands were particularly dishonest, so he gritted his teeth and said, Su Yang, can you please stop touching me? Honey, I just touched your neck, nothing else. If you touch your neck, just touch your neck. Why are you moving down? Ahem, I just want to feel your collarbone, nothing else. Is that the collarbone? Your hands are already inside my clothes. Ah, honey, this is purely an accident. My hand is out of control. It has its own thoughts. Be mentally prepared. Well, Su Yang, you don't want to. In the Ferrari car, in an almost closed space, Su Yang and Li Feixuan hugged each other tightly, a fierce collision of hormones between young men and women. At the same time, 9-door black market, special entrance. A woman with a graceful figure stood proudly. She was wearing a white dress and a purple butterfly mask on her face. Her appearance was unclear. Next to the woman, there is a little girl about 4 years old, with exquisite facial features, pink and jade, and a standard beauty. At this moment, the two guards of Jimen Black Market, Lu Hui and Wang Sai, were half kneeling on the ground, holding fists with their hands and saying, Subordinate Lu Hui. Subordinate Wang Sai. Meet the leader. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 162. Leader. This woman in a white dress wearing a purple butterfly mask and holding a little Lolita in her right hand is the leader of the 9 Gates Black Market. Her strength is so powerful that it shocks the entire ancient martial arts. Her cold chi can turn the air into snow, causing snowflakes to fall when she strikes. Pieces of snowflakes appeared out of thin air, and murderous intent swept around. Usually, her opponent would be dead before he could react, with snow falling all over his body. Therefore, the leader of the Nine-Gate Black Market has an ancient martial name, Qianshan Snow. She kills decisively, has a temperament as cold as a snow-capped mountain, and is merciless in her attacks. Now, Qian Shangxiu only glanced at Lu Hui and Wang Sai, then looked away, and did not let them get up, but said lightly, "Su Xiantian, is it really as you said, in his early 20s, he has already set foot in the Earth sect?" The aura on Qian Shangxiu's body was so cold that the air around him seemed to freeze. Even if Lu Hui and Wang Sai were at the peak of their strength, they would shiver with cold when facing thousands of mountains of snow, and they would be so frightened that they would not dare to raise their heads. After a pause for a few seconds, Lu Hui said, reporting to the alliance leader, "My subordinate's strength is weak and his eyesight is even shallower. He cannot see the realm of Mr. Su. But Mr. Su can fight hard with Ge Ping, who is half a step into the Earth sect realm, and even kill him in the end. This shows that Mr. Su must be a master in this realm," Lu Hui said respectfully. Qian Shangxiu nodded slightly surprised. Looking at the ancient martial arts world, there are only a handful of peak masters under the age of 30. I didn't expect that in the small Jiangbei, there are actually half-step sects in their 20s. "Do you know if Su Xiantian has a sect?" Qian Shangxiu asked immediately. I didn't dare to ask more questions, but Mr. Su has a life-saving talisman handed down from ancient times. He should have learned it from his master, Lu Hui responded. Qian Shangxiu frowned. Ancient talisman. Yes, Mr. Su is young after all, and his real combat power is not as good as Ge Ping's. He used the explosion of the talisman to severely injure Ge Ping and counterattack. A talisman that can kill even half a step of the Earth sect is nothing among ancient talismans. However, there are very few ancient talismans that have been preserved. Only the most powerful ancient martial arts sects can possess them. In addition, he has a pet dog beside him, and his fighting power is not weak. It must have been raised using ancient methods. It requires a lot of natural resources and treasures to cultivate it. Qian Shangxiu analyzed, it seems that Su Xiantian is likely to come from a powerful section. However, this does not affect our Jimin Alliance's friendship with him. When he truly grows up, he can be regarded as a powerful foreign aid in the Jimin black market. Speaking of this, Qian Shangxiu asked lightly, "Do you know the whereabouts of Su Xiantian?" "I don't know." Lu Hui shook his head and said, "Master Su's Shenlong is very mysterious. He never mentions his sect or residence, and his subordinates dare not ask about it. But he needs the energy stone. My subordinate has revealed it to him before, saying that you will come to see him personally with the energy stone." Lu Hui came up with an idea. "As long as the news of your visit to Jiangbei is spread, Mr. Su will definitely come to the Jimin black market." "No need." Qian Shangxiu said in a cold tone, "I came to Jiangbei and hid my whereabouts all the way. No one knows that I am in Jiangbei. You two must keep it a secret, otherwise, I will be killed without mercy." "Yes." Lu Hui and Wang Sai were shocked and responded in unison. Qian Shangxiu nodded with satisfaction, and then said calmly, "As for Su Xiantian, just tell me next time he comes to Jimin black market. I will be in Jiangbei during this time." "Yes." "Okay, you go and do your work." Qian Shangxiu left a few words and left Jimin black market with little Loli. "Mom, didn't you say you could see Dad when you come to Jiangbei?" "Where is Dad?" "Suyuyo, when did your mother lie to you?" "However, you have to be mentally prepared. Your father may not be as powerful as you think. He is just an ordinary person. To be precise, your father is not even as good as an ordinary person. He's a super dude." "What does super dude mean?" Yu doesn't know. "Super dude means that your father is a loser. He knows nothing but eating, drinking and having fun. He doesn't know martial arts and can't protect you." Mom, you are not allowed to comment on my dad like this. If you say anything else, I will get angry. Yo-Yo is very powerful now. It doesn't matter if dad is useless. Yo-Yo can protect dad. Just be mentally prepared. I will arrange for you to meet him as soon as possible. I hope you won't be too disappointed when you see him. Qian Shangxiu and little Loli walked away while talking. Lu Hui and Wang Sai didn't dare to look up from the beginning to the end. They didn't dare to stand up until long after Qian Shangxiu and Su Yuyu left. At this moment, Lu Hui and Wang Sai looked at the 2 rows of frost-covered footprints on the ground and swallowed in fear. "Leader, you are so strong," Lu Hui said with awe. "That's natural. The Alliance leader is amazingly talented. In the ancient martial arts competition 3 years ago, she went crazy and defeated all the young talents. Even the genius of the Fengchan land was defeated by the Alliance leader." Wang Sai next to him was also in awe and said, "At that time, the strength of the Alliance leader can be compared with the seniors in ancient martial arts." 2 years later, some people in the ancient martial arts world said that the Alliance leader took that step and became a leader in ancient martial arts. "Wu Dingfeng is the strongest." Lu Hui said respectfully, "How old is the leader?" "He must be in his 20s. It's terrible. Compared with the leader, Mr. Su is much inferior." "Okay, Lu Hui, I'll take note of what you said, and I'll tell Mr. Su what you said when I see him," Wang Sai said suddenly, as if he had caught Lu Hui's hand. Lu Hui's face instantly darkened, and he gritted his teeth and said, "Wang Sai, are you so shameless that you have to disregard all these years of brotherhood in order to let Mr. Su help you improve your strength?" "Haha, brotherhood is nothing compared to being a master," Wang Sai said casually. "Damn it, Wang Sai, if you don't fight for a few days, your hands will feel itchy, right? I will beat you to death today," Lu Hui gritted his teeth. "Stop, I don't want to argue with you. We are all gentlemen, and the influence is not good. Go to hell." The two had a very good relationship and often fought each other. They were both used to it, so they started fighting immediately. At this moment, Jiangbei domestic airport is completely blocked. Thousands of soldiers in uniforms, fully armed, each with a stern face and uniform movements. Outside the airport, dozens of fighter planes were circling, monitoring all directions. All ordinary passengers are not allowed to go even half a step closer to the airport. Big battle. For Jiangbei, this is definitely an unprecedented battle. Although the airport was blocked and all flights were delayed, no one outside complained. Even more citizens, holding flowers or holding banners, stood outside the airport waiting for their flight. Gradually, tens of thousands of people blocked the outside of the airport. There are men and women, old and young, but without exception, they are all Chinese people. Suddenly, it started raining in Jiangbei, mixed with the cold wind. The autumn wind was already chilly, but none of the people left. Just because the person they are waiting for is Tian's God of War. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 163. Tian's God of War has really come to Jiangbei, haha. Everyone says that Tian's God of War is tall and heroic. I'm really looking forward to it. The rain is getting heavier and heavier, aren't you going to leave? Kill 120,000 enemy troops in one fell swoop and keep the enemy at bay from the southern border. Tian's God of War is a sharp weapon for the country. Let alone rain, even if it hails, I still want to witness the grace of Tian's God of War with my own eyes. Yeah, I'm excited just thinking about it. I finally have the chance to meet my idol today. Outside the airport, many citizens did not have the idea of leaving because of the heavy rain. Instead, they were impassioned and looked forward to it even more. Just like that, under the gaze of everyone, A tall middle-aged man slowly walked out of the airport. He is about 1.9 meters tall and in his 40s. He is tall and powerful, with a pair of piercing tiger eyes, which gives people a strong sense of oppression. This man is the god of war Tiance, Zhao Tiance, who once killed 120,000 enemy soldiers. There is a naturally cultivated murderous aura in him, which is powerful without anger. Behind Zhao Tiance, more than 30 elite soldiers and generals followed closely behind, each one of them was one of the best in a million. This group of people walked out of the airport, and the scene was instantly filled with excitement. Tiance, god of war, I've seen him on TV before, but today I finally saw him in person. It is said that men begin to decline after they are 30 years old, but Tiance, god of war, is already over 40, and he is still as powerful as a tiger. Of course, Tiance, god of war, is not an ordinary person. Lian Po is old, can he still eat? Even if Tiance, god of war, reaches Lian Po's age, he can still hold weapons and protect the land of China. There are 9 other gods of war in our country. Our country is strong and powerful. Zhao Tiance only showed his face, and then left the airport through a special passage surrounded by elite soldiers. Not long after, inside a moving jeep, Zhao Tiance sat in the back row and said calmly, "Have the arrangements been made for the reception banquet? We have been notified that all the families in Jiangbei will send representatives to Junmenlu Hotel to attend your reception banquet tonight." The subordinate next to him said respectfully. "The Su family doesn't need to notify." Zhao Tiance said, "I am a soldier led by Su Shui, and he will always be Su Shui in my heart. Now that I have come to Jiangbei, I should be the one to visit him. I am not qualified to ask him to pick up the wind for me. Su Shui is Su Shenbing." Speaking of Su Shenbing, Zhao Tiance's eyes were full of nostalgia and respect. Even though he was in a high position now, he still did not dare to show the slightest disrespect to the former Su Shui. "Yes." The subordinate responded, "I know your relationship with Su Shui, so I sent someone to inform him in advance and told Su Shui that you would go see him when you are done." "Yes." Zhao Tiance nodded with satisfaction. "General Zhao." At this time, the subordinate next to him asked curiously, "From what I know about you, you don't like to make pomp and show. Why do you want to come to Jiangbei with great fanfare this time and arrange a grand reception in Jiangbei? You don't know something?" Zhao Tiance said calmly, "The first reason I came to Jiangbei this time is to find Su Xiantian and win over this young earth sect that Prince Ping is interested in. As for the second purpose, it is to protect the Su family." Zhao Tiance continued, "I got news that because the heroine god of war performed so well in eastern Xinjiang, she attracted the attention of country D. The news about the heroine god of war Su Jingguo from the Su family in Jiangbei spread like wildfire. As we all know, Su Jingguo dotes on her younger brother Su Yang and indulges Su Yang in every possible way. Therefore, in the near future, D Congress will take action against Su Yang in order to disturb the heroine god of war's state of mind." Zhao Tiance's eyes were bright and he said calmly, "The reason why I made a high-profile appearance is to shock country D and make them stop thinking about assassinating Su Yang." "I see." The subordinate suddenly understood and continued, "I have heard some things about Su Yang, and they all say that he is a super playboy, ignorant and incompetent." "Shut up." Zhao Tiance became angry and said in a deep voice, "How can we evaluate Su Shui's son? Don't let it happen again, otherwise I will never forgive you." "Yes." The subordinate hurriedly lowered his head, not daring to say another word. Su Shui, I haven't seen you for more than 10 years. How are you?" Zhao Tiance looked out the car window, showed a wry smile, and murmured to himself, "Everyone in the world thinks that it was my credit for killing 120,000 enemy troops. But they don't know that I'm not even qualified to receive half of this merit medal." At this time, a martial arts school in Jiangbei. An old man dressed in black suddenly appeared, and for a moment, everyone on the scene knelt on the ground. This old man was over 70 years old. He was wearing wooden clogs and had a samurai sword slung around his waist. His face was covered with white stubble, and his eyes were bright, shining, and full of fierceness. They were not at all what an old man of this age should look like. "Welcome Ito senpai." Everyone in the martial arts gym, including the gym owner, all shouted respectfully in unison. This old man, who is over 70 years old, is the master sent by Country D to deal with Sushientien, Ito, the real Earth Sex strongman. "Everyone, get up." Ito was hunched over and looked weak, but he spoke with great energy and asked, "Do you have the whereabouts of Sushientien?" Still investigating, the museum owner responded respectfully. "Well, once there is news about Sushientien, notify me as soon as possible." Ito said coldly, "This man killed 80,000 of our soldiers with cruel methods. He must pay a heavy price." "Yes. Sushientien, half-step Earth section, haha, he is indeed a rare genius." A smile appeared on Ito's old face and he continued, "But it's a pity that your next opponent is me. In my early years, I have already set foot in the real Earth sect and understood the essence of the Ichido style. It will be easy to kill you." Ito muttered to himself, and then asked, "Do you know where the Red Lotus Demon Sword and the Tei's Hung Demon Sword are? I heard that these two swords appeared in Jiangbei. The Red Lotus Sword seems to have been brought back to Kyoto by the National Blade. As for the Tei's Hung Demon Sword, it once appeared in the Jimin black market and was photographed by Lu Fangkui. Later, it disappeared with Lu Fangkui." The martial arts master seemed to have thought of something, and said, "Senior Ito, Sushientien bid with Lu Fangkui at the auction of Jimin black market. Could it be that he killed Lu Fangkui and took away the Tei's Hung Demon Sword?" "It's possible." Ito narrowed his eyes slightly and smiled sinisterly, "It's just right. Killing Sushientien will kill two birds with one stone. You go check on Susuanation's whereabouts and find him as soon as possible without any mistakes." "Yes," the owner agreed in awe. "Sushientien, I hope you are stronger and don't get killed instantly by me, otherwise I will be very disappointed." Ito smiled softly, then stepped on the floor with his wooden clogs, and walked into the room arranged for him by the master of the martial arts gym in advance. At this moment, Su Yang and Li Feixuan had been in the Ferrari parked on the roadside for almost half an hour. Except for the last step, everything else that needs to be done is done. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 164. Concubine Li gave Su Yang a blank look, then said uncomfortably, "Okay, Su Yang, stop playing, my stomach is a little uncomfortable." "What's going on?" Su Yang pulled his hand back and asked with concern. "The relatives are here." Li Feixuan glanced at Su Yang, and then said, "It's getting late, Su Yang, I should go to Feng Mao building. My dance training class has been very popular these 2 days, with thousands of students signing up." "Congratulations," Su Yang smiled and asked, "Are all the applicants male and female?" "There are men and women, what's wrong?" "Damn it, wife, you can't recruit male students. Those men who sign up to learn dance must have bad intentions." Su Yang gritted his teeth. Li Feixuan smoothed her hair in front of her forehead, nodded and said, "Yes, I know, so I only accept female students." "Haha, this is my good wife." Su Yang smiled. "Tch, who is your wife?" Li Feixuan gave Su Yang a hard look and said, "Will you come to Feng Mao building to pick me up tonight?" "No, I don't have time," Su Yang said with a smile. "I won't have time in the next week, please contact me again in a week." "1 week? What are you going to do?" Li Feixuan couldn't help but ask. "I'm not going anywhere. I'll be at home. When your relatives leave, I'll find you again." Su Yang raised his eyebrows and said, "Otherwise, what's the point of our meeting?" "Su Yang, you have so much on your mind." Li Feixuan looked at Su Yang angrily, and then said with a playful smile, but who told me that my relatives will leave in a week? Don't you know that many girls' relatives will leave in 3 or 4 days? Really, wife, on what day did you leave? Su Yang asked hurriedly. The 7th day. Hearing Li Fengxuan's answer, Su Yang's face darkened. Isn't it still going to take a week? Wife, you said you were lonely, come back to me in a week. But today is my 7th day suddenly, Li Fengxuan added. Honey, I think it's better for us to meet every day. Our relationship is cultivated bit by bit. Su Yang said seriously, I will take you home tonight, I will book a room tomorrow, and we can cultivate our relationship. You are so shameless. Li Fengxuan curled her lips and said. Ha ha. Su Yang smiled, then drove concubine Li to Feng Mao building in a Ferrari. After saying goodbye to his wife, Su Yang looked at the time and saw that there were still a few hours before picking up his wife, so he drove back to the riverside villa. Original. Su Yang was going to give the white cat to Li Fengxuan. This was something he had decided before to protect Li Fengxuan. But it happened that the white cat was practicing in the storage ring, so Su Yang gave up the idea for the time being and planned to arrange for his wife to meet the white cat next time. At this time, Su Yang walked into his room and sat cross-legged to meditate. After the battle in Dongjiang, his strength improved by leaps and bounds, and he had already reached the 5th level of Qi training. In more than 10 days, he advanced from the 1st level of Qi training to the 5th level of Qi training. If we continue to develop at this rate, we should be able to build the foundation in less than a month. By then, there will be absolutely no problem in pushing forward the ancient martial arts world. The ancient martial arts system was, after all, too low-end. Su Yang can handle those ancient martial arts masters who have been practicing for decades. This is all due to the power of cultivation. Therefore, although it was possible to turn Wang Fugui into an ancient warrior instantly, Su Yang did not do so. Reiki, we still need spiritual energy. It seems we need to find a way to get a large number of energy stones as soon as possible. Speaking of energy stones, Su Yang suddenly thought of the Jimen black market, and murmured, I don't know when their alliance leader will come to Jiangbei and how many energy stones they have prepared for me. I have to go to the Jimen black market in 2 days to urge them. For now, let's consolidate our realm. It's not realistic to rely solely on the spiritual energy contained in the air. With this thought in his mind, Su Yang started to use the 9 nether prison suppressing technique. But at this moment, his cell phone suddenly rang, and it was a text message from his elder sister Su Jingguo. Content, little brother, my sister was joking with you in the last text message. Don't worry, just wait for me at home. I'm in Kyoto now and will go back after finishing some things. After browsing the text messages, Su Yang smiled and did not reply, but entered a state of cultivation. Since the elder sister is safe, there is no need for him to worry. Besides, he will be able to see the elder sister again in a few days anyway. The top priority now is to work hard to improve your own strength. After communicating with his father today, Su Yang realized that the enemies of the Su family were very powerful and he could not compete with them at the moment. In this case, only practice can make him truly calm. Before I knew it, it was getting dark. Su Yang looked at the time and felt it was almost time, so he drove his Ferrari to Feng Mao building to pick up Li Fengxuan. Arriving at Feng Mao building, Su Yang dialed Li Fengxuan's phone number. Li Fengxuan also finished her work and asked Su Yang to wait for her where they left in the afternoon. A few minutes later, Li Fengxuan came over, but she was holding a little girl about 4 years old in her right hand. Honey, who is this little girl? She is so beautiful. Is she the child of your relative? Su Yang asked with a smile. No, she is a student in my training class and signed up to learn dance. Li Fengxuan shook her head first, and then explained, but I didn't see her parents until the end of get out of class. I couldn't put such a young child in the dance studio, so I took her down. Let's wait here. Maybe her mother will come to take her home soon, concubine Li Xian suggested. Su Yang nodded, and then began to look at the little girl in front of him. The more he looked at her, the more cute she felt. And for some reason, he felt an inexplicable familiarity with this little girl. At this time, the little girl met Su Yang's gaze, her eyes curved into crescent shapes, and she smiled sweetly. "Hello, uncle, my name is Su Yu. Urban Super Dude." Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 165. "Hello, uncle, my name is Su Yu." The little girl's voice is particularly sweet, soft, and waxy, and her cute face makes her so adorable. This moment, Su Yang's heart seemed to melt. He couldn't help but touch the little girl's head and said with a gentle smile, "Hello, little friend. What a coincidence. My surname is Su too, and we have the same surname." "Yes, I know, your name is Su Yang." Su Yu smiled. Su Yang was surprised and asked doubtfully, "How do you know my name?" Su Yu's eyes curved into crescent shapes, obviously hiding something. Then she pointed to Li Feixuan next to her and said with a sweet smile, "Teacher Li told me." "So that's it?" Su Yang had seen countless people, so he naturally caught something strange in the little girl's eyes. Moreover, ever since he saw this little girl, he had a familiar feeling, as if she was connected by blood. But Su Yang searched through young Master Su's memories and couldn't find any fragments about the little girl. In other words, young Master Su does not know this little girl named Su Yu. Maybe, it's just an illusion. Su Yang smiled, then squatted down and asked softly, "Kid Su Yu, do you know where your mother has gone?" "Mom is in a hurry and has to go to work," Su Yu answered in a sweet voice. "Then do you know her contact information, such as mobile phone number?" Su Yang asked. "Have no idea." Su Yu continued, "My mother asked me to learn dancing from teacher Li. She will pick me up and take me home when she is done. But it's very late now and your mother hasn't come here yet. Where are you going to sleep at night?" Su Yang's voice was always gentle. He still had a good impression of this little girl and found her very cute, so his father's love overflowed. "I don't know either." As Su Yu spoke, she suddenly started crying and said pitifully, "Uncle, does mom not want me anymore?" "How could it happen, Yu? Don't think nonsense." Su Yang was a little at a loss and quickly comforted, "Your mother must be busy. Let's do this. Uncle will take you to the police and ask them to help find your mother." "I don't, I'm scared." Su Yu cried and threw herself into Su Yang's arms. Su Yang took advantage of the situation and picked up Su Yu. Seeing the grievance on the little girl's face, his heart broke. He was at a loss for a moment and cast a look at Li Feixuan for help. "Su Yang." Li Feixuan was reading text messages on her mobile phone just now, and now she said, "Su Yu's mother sent me a message. She said that she went out of town and would not come back for about a week. During this time, she asked me to take care of Su Yu and return the money to her. I transferred some money. It seems her mother is really busy." Su Yang looked at Li Feixuan and asked curiously, "Have you met her mother? Are you familiar with her?" "I've never seen her before. I don't even know her mother's name." Li Feixuan shook her head. "If that's the case, then why does her mother dare to trust you with her daughter?" Su Yang became even more confused. "I feel strange too. Maybe I think I have a nice face." Li Feixuan said narcissistically, "After all, some things are innate. Unlike you, you look like a playboy." Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose, then smiled bitterly and said, "Honey, what should we do now? What else can I do? I don't feel comfortable sending such a young girl to the police station." Li Feixuan looked at Su Yu. The more she looked at her, the more she liked her. Overflowing with motherly love, she smiled softly and said, "Anyway, her mother will be back in a week. I can take care of her for a few days." Su Yang nodded and said, "Honey, you are so caring. When your relatives leave, I will definitely fulfill your dream of becoming a mother. I believe you will be a good mother." "Damn it, don't talk about this in front of your children." Li Feixuan glared at Su Yang, then turned to look at Su Yuyu, clapped her hands and said with a smile, "Yuyu, your mother asked me to take care of you. For the next week, will teacher Li sleep with you in her arms?" "Not good." Unexpectedly, Su Yuyu hugged Su Yang's neck tightly, pressed her body against Su Yang's body, and said firmly, "I want to be with Uncle Su Yang, and I only want Uncle Su Yang to take care of me." Li Feixuan stretched out her hands, ready to hug Su Yuyu, but Su Yuyu's reaction made her very embarrassed. "Wife, I think what you just said is right. Some things are innate. It seems that I am more approachable and kinder than you." Su Yang smiled softly. "I." Li Feixuan was not convinced and smiled softly, "Yuyu, teacher Li has a lot of delicious food at home, as well as Princess Elsa's clothes. How about you go home with teacher Li?" "I don't want it." Su Yuyu decisively refused. "You don't want Princess Elsa's clothes? I think a lot of little girls like them very much. If you wear them, you will become Princess Elsa." Li Feixuan continued to seduce Su Yuyu. Su Yuyu pouted and said, "I don't like Princess Elsa. My mother is much more beautiful than Princess Elsa." "Then whatever you want, teacher Li will buy it for you." Li Feixuan continued. "I don't want anything, I want to go home with Uncle Su Yang." Su Yuyu said stubbornly. "But Uncle Su Yang is a boy and it is not convenient for him to take care of you. Think about it, who will help you take a bath and who will hug you to sleep?" Concubine Li persuaded, "If you like Uncle Su Yang, I can take you to see him tomorrow. Teacher Li will take care of you tonight." "Teacher Li, you have really dirty thoughts? I'm still a child. Why can't Uncle Su Yang help me take a bath? Why can't he hug me to sleep?" Su Yuyu pouted. These words made Li Feixuan even more embarrassed, but thinking about it carefully, it was indeed her own problem, and the kid was right. "Honey, how about this? I will take her back to the riverside villa tonight and arrange for a nanny to take care of her food and daily life." Su Yang smiled softly and said, "I also like this child very much. I always feel very familiar with him. Li Fei, her mother, is on duty." "Okay, let me take care of it." Su Yang agreed. After hearing the two people's decision, Su Yuyu, who was lying on Su Yang's shoulder, showed a successful smile. Immediately afterwards, Su Yang sent concubine Li back to the Li family manor, and then drove Su Yuyu to the riverside villa. "Wow, Uncle Su Yang, do you live in such a big house by yourself?" Su Yuyu happily circled around the living room, as happy as an elf. Su Yang smiled and said, "But for the next week, we will live together." "La la la, that's great." Su Yuyu bounced on the spot excitedly, her two braids swinging back and forth, "So cute." But then, she didn't know what she thought of, and she suddenly cried aggrievedly. Seeing the little loli crying, Su Yang's heart clenched. He hurried over and asked with concern, "Yuyu, what's wrong with you?" "I grew up with my mother. Before today, I had never seen my father. Other children have fathers, but I don't. I am so pitiful." Su Yuyu wiped her tears while looking at Su Yang, and asked pitifully, "Uncle Su Yang, can I call you daddy?" You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 166. Su Yang was stunned for a moment, then wiped away the tears from the corners of Su Yuyu's eyes, gently stroked her head, and said softly, "Yuyu, don't cry, you are so cute, you won't be pretty if you cry anymore, just call me daddy if you want bar." "Yeah." Su Yuyu choked for a few times, then raised her head, met Su Yang's eyes, and shouted sincerely, "Dad, Dad." Su Yang smiled and agreed, very naturally, as if he should have agreed in the first place. "Dad. Dad. Ha ha ha, Suyuyo, have a father, yeah yeah." Suyuyo became happy again, jumping up and down like an elf. Su Yang was right next to him, watching Suyuyo unleash her natural instincts with a kind face, her father's love overflowing, and she couldn't help but sigh, how wonderful it would be if she really had such a girl. After cultivating for nearly 100,000 years, Su Yang was always alone. When he heard such a cute little girl call her daddy, he began to look forward to her. After Suyuyo was tired of struggling, she hugged Su Yang's thigh tightly and said in a sweet voice, "Uncle Su Yang, can I always call you daddy in the next few days?" "Sure." Su Yang knelt down and couldn't help but rub Suyuyo's little head, and then asked curiously, "Yuyo, you just said that you grew up with your mother, so where is your father?" "My dad." Hearing this question, Suyuyo felt a little depressed and whispered, "My mother hides many things from me and refuses to tell me, but I know them all. Actually, it was just an accident. My mother accidentally got pregnant with me, and then she separated from my father and raised me by herself, so I never met my father." Su Yang heard this and asked, "Is your father dead?" "No." Suyuyo looked at Su Yang and smiled softly, "He is alive and well." Snored. "I thought he was dead." "Since he is not dead, why not take up the responsibility of being a father and let a woman take care of the child alone?" When Su Yang heard this, he was extremely angry. He gritted his teeth and said, "This kind of man is simply a scumbag. It would be better to be dead than alive. Don't say that about my dad." Suyuyo looked at Su Yang, hesitated to speak, and then explained, "My father didn't even know that my mother gave birth to me, so he ignored her." "Okay, Yo-Yo, I know you miss your dad in your heart, so I won't scold you." Su Yang held Suyuyo's hand and then said, "I can't guarantee anything else, but, Yo-Yo, as long as you are here with me for one day, I will take good care of you for one day and won't let anyone bully you. Know what it's like to have a father who loves you." "Thank you, Dad Su." Suyuyo was so moved that she shed tears, and timidly tried, "Dad Su, can you call me daughter?" "Okay." Su Yang looked down at Suyuyo and called softly, "Good daughter." "Yeah, Dad Su." Suyuyo hugged Su Yang tightly. At this moment, she was very satisfied. Su Yang picked up Suyuyo and smiled softly, "Okay, Yuyo, it's getting late, you should rest." "It's late now. I'll ask the nanny to come over tomorrow. There's no need to take a shower tonight. Just go to bed." Su Yang then asked, "There are rooms on the second and third floors. Where do you sleep, Yuyo?" "Dad Su, can I sleep with you?" Suyuyo said with a pleading look on her face. "No." Su Yang said seriously, "Yuyo, you are a girl, you should keep your distance from boys, do you understand?" Suyuyo's eyes curved into a crescent shape, but on the surface she agreed, "Okay, Yuyo knows." Yes. Su Yang nodded and said with a smile, "I live on the third floor. There is an empty room next to my room. You can live next door to me. If you need anything, just call me and I can take care of you." "Okay, thank you, Dad Su." Suyuyo happily agreed, and then asked, "Dad Su, I am learning dance from teacher Li. I am very tired. Can you carry me upstairs?" "Can." Su Yang smiled, and then carried Suyuyo to the room on the third floor. The rooms in the riverside villa are cleaned every once in a while, and sometimes Su Shenbing even cleans them himself, so they are very clean. All the quilts and mattresses in the room were washed clean. "Yuyo, go to bed early and remember to call me if you need anything." After explaining, Su Yang was about to walk out of the room. "Dad Su." Suyuyo stopped Su Yang and whispered, I'm so scared to sleep alone in a strange place. Can you tell me a story and wait until I fall asleep before leaving? No problem. Su Yang pulled up a chair, sat beside the bed, and said with a gentle smile, "What do you want to hear?" "Anything is fine, as long as it is said by Su's father. I like it." Su Yu's eyes were shining happily. "Okay, let me tell you a story from another world." Su Yang smiled softly, and then said softly, "The vast universe is endless, and there are not only humans on the earth. In a corner of the vast universe, there is a place called Xiantian Immortal Realm. Many people there can cultivate themselves to become immortals and live forever through their own efforts. Our story begins with a 4-year-old child about your age." Next. Su Yang vividly told the story of how a little boy grew from an ordinary person to an immortal emperor step by step. The protagonist of this story is naturally Su Yang himself. However, before the story was finished, Su Yu fell asleep, her long eyelashes covering her eyes, like a sleeping beauty. She was so cute. "Yu, I wish you a good dream." Su Yang showed a kind smile, covered Su Yu with a quilt, and then walked out of the room. Immediately, Su Yang returned to the next room and sat cross-legged, not choosing to practice. Because the earth's spiritual energy was too thin, he finally understood that without relying on energy stones, even if he sat idle for 50 years, he would not have a chance to build a foundation. Also, he must always remain vigilant so as not to miss Su Yu calling him. After all, this place is relatively unfamiliar to Su Yu. She still needs to sleep alone, so she has to pay attention to it at all times. Just like that, without realizing it, a few hours passed. Around 2 o'clock in the morning, Su Yang suddenly noticed that Su Yu next door woke up and walked out of the room alone. Su Yang frowned, fearing that something might happen to Su Yu, so he hurriedly followed her out. At this time, Su Yu came to the courtyard of the villa. It was dark all around. She was not afraid at all, and her eyes did not have the immaturity that a child of her age should have. Instead, she was very calm, like a little adult. This made Su Yang very curious. "What's going on? The little girl has 2 faces?" "Mom, I have met my father and I live in his villa now." At this moment, Su Yu rolled up her sleeves, revealing the phone watch on her wrist, and then said, "Don't worry, I was afraid that my father wouldn't be able to accept the sudden addition of a daughter, so I didn't tell him the truth. I'll set the stage first. The time is about the same, let's get to know him again. Also, my father is not as bad as you said. He is very good to me and likes me very much. He even hugged me today," Su Yu said with a happy face. Su Yang, who was hiding in the dark, felt as if he was struck by lightning when he heard these words, and his mind went blank. Could it be that Su Yu is really my daughter? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 167. Su Yang was confused and couldn't calm down deep in his heart for a long time. Apart from him, Su Yu was the only one in the villa. Then, the father Su Yu talks about must be Su Yang. For a moment, Su Yang had mixed feelings in his heart and was very confused at the same time. Who is Yo-Yo's mother? Why don't I have the slightest impression of her? Young Master Su has ruined too many women. Could it be that Su Yu's mother is one of them? Su Yang nodded and said to himself, it should be so. Since Su Yu has come to visit her, and I do have a blood connection with her, this Su Yu is most likely my biological daughter. Just now, I actually complained that I was a scumbag and said that I would rather be dead than alive. This is outrageous. Su Yang smiled bitterly, then sighed and said to himself, hey, Yu is only 4 years old, so she is too sensible. I'm afraid I won't be able to accept the sudden addition of a daughter. She knows that I am her father, but she doesn't recognize me. They say that daughters are carrying little cotton padded jackets. This is true at all. It's just that Yunyu has suffered. He has lacked his father's love since he was a child. He must be particularly eager for his father's love. Su Yang hid in the dark and looked at Su Yu who was talking on the phone, his eye circles becoming moist involuntarily. By the way, Mom, when do you plan to see Dad? Dad seems to have a good relationship with Teacher Li now. At this moment, Su Yu was still on the phone with her mother, reminding her, if you want to win over Dad, just take action quickly. If it's too late, it'll be too late. If you want to be with Dad again, all you can do is my little wife. A cold voice came from the watch phone. Yu, I told you before, it is impossible for me to be with Su Yang. Back then, he and I had some things that I didn't need to tell you. Even if I told you, you wouldn't understand. All in all, he and I had no relationship before, and we can't continue our relationship now. Su Yu wondered, why? Your father is not worthy of me. Qian Shangxiu's voice came from the watch phone. Moreover, even if I condescend to accept him, he can't bear the anger of those in the Gewu sect, so don't mention it again like the words just now. All right. Su Yu was a little frustrated, but she already knew it, so she was relieved quickly. Yu, apart from hugging you, did Su Yang say anything to you today? Did he doubt your identity? Qian Shangxiu asked. My father is so stupid that he doesn't even realize that I am her daughter, and he refuses to take me to sleep with him. Su Yu continued, Dad also told me a story, but I don't know what he thought. He actually told me a story about a man cultivating immortality. I am a girl, okay. I shouldn't tell stories like Snow White. However, although the stories my father told were unpleasant, it was so great to do as a bedtime story. I fell asleep while listening to it. Su Yu said happily, with Dad beside me, I sleep very soundly. Well, you should get along with him for a while. I guess he will have a different attitude towards you when he knows that you are his daughter. Qian Shangxiu was not optimistic about Su Yang and said calmly, he will not take responsibility. Mom, please stop talking nonsense. Su Yu defended Su Yang and retorted, just now he didn't know that he was my father. I said that I don't have a father. I grew up with my mother. He thought it was my father who abandoned us, so he called his father a scumbag and that he was not as good as alive died. Hey, you're scolding yourself. Dad is so stupid. It's funny just thinking about it. Su Yu's eyes curled into crescent shapes. Did he really say that? Qian Shangxiu said in surprise. Yeah. It seems like he has made a lot of progress. Qian Shangxiu was quite surprised. Then he remembered something and said, Yu, I got news that someone in country D will kill Su Yang in the near future. Let's not get involved. You can play with him for a few days and then leave. Someone wants to kill my dad. When Su Yu heard this, she immediately said fiercely, that's no good, I can't leave, I want to stay to protect Dad. I'm warning you, Su Yu, you can't interfere in this matter, do you hear? On the other side of the phone, before Qian Shangxiu finished speaking, Su Yu stretched out her little finger and hung up the phone. I'm so tired, I'm finally clean. Su Yu smiled, then put down her sleeves to cover her phone and watch, and then walked into the living room, probably going back to the house to rest. Seeing this, Su Yang moved around and quickly returned to his room. Lying on the bed, Su Yang was extremely excited and had no intention of sleeping. I didn't expect to have such a big daughter for no reason, ha ha ha. Yu is so cute, so beautiful, and sensible. She is actually my daughter. How cool. While he was happy, Su Yang began to seriously consider a question, that is, whether he should recognize Su Yu now. The reason why Su Yu did not reveal her identity was because she was afraid that Su Yang would not be able to accept the sudden appearance of her daughter, so she wanted to lay the groundwork first and let Su Yang slowly accept it. But Su Yang can naturally accept Su Yuyu, and he even wishes to get to know his daughter now. But listening to the conversation between Su Yuyu and her mother just now, it seems that Su Yuyu won't stay in Jiangbei for long. Another point is that Su Yuyu's mother has a very bad impression of Su Yang. If I get to know Yuyu, I will give her enough fatherly love in the past few days. But if the problem between her mother and I cannot be solved in the future, her mother will definitely take her away. Then she will control her. If you are embarrassed, you must be particularly sad. Instead of doing this, let's cooperate with Yuyu in acting. Wait until I find out the identity of her mother and talk through the issues between us adults before we consider recognizing our daughter. After some careful consideration, Su Yang finally made a decision and planned to wait a little longer before talking. Now, he is very curious about who Yoyo's mother is and what her background is, and she can actually find out that Country D is planning to attack him. Tomorrow I'm going to the Jimin Black Market and ask Lu Hui to help check it out. With the power of the Jimin Black Market, I will definitely be able to find out something. With this thought in mind, Su Yang no longer thought about this matter, but closed his eyes slightly, preparing to rest. But at this moment, he suddenly realized that Su Yuyu did not go back to his room, but walked into his room. "Dad Su, I feel so scared after going to the toilet. I don't dare to sleep alone. Can you hold me?" Su Yuyu stood by the door and said timidly, her little appearance was particularly pitiful. This girl really has two faces. She didn't look like this on the phone just now. "You are quite good at acting like a spoiled child in front of Dad." Su Yang smiled in his heart, then waved and said with a smile, "Okay, come here, Daddy will hug you to sleep." He didn't know Su Yuyu's identity before, but now that he knows that this little girl is his daughter, Su Yang naturally has no worries. "Okay, thank you, Dad Su." Su Yuyu was so happy that she happily got into Su Yang's bed, hugged Su Yang tightly, arched her head at the same time, and said with a happy smile, "Sleeping next to Daddy, I feel so at ease, so at ease." Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 168. Holding his daughter in his arms, Su Yang felt particularly at ease. This was an unprecedented feeling. He has practiced for 100,000 years and experienced all kinds of things in the world, but he has never experienced what it is like to be a father. Now, Su Yang realized it, and he couldn't help but smile, and slowly fell asleep. Tonight, the autumn breeze is cool, the sky is full of stars outside the window, and the faint chirping of insects can be heard. Su Yang hugged his daughter Su Yuyu, and they both fell asleep. No one disturbed them, and everything was just right. At this moment, outside the riverside villa, Qian Shangxiu was watching the scene from a distance, her cold jade face slightly moved. She is Li Feixuan's best friend, Zhang Shuer. 5 years ago, under Su Jinghan's plan, young Master Su made Zhang Shuer pregnant after drinking. The incident became known to everyone, and the Zhang family had to leave Jiangbei. Before leaving, Zhang Shuer claimed that she had aborted the child in her belly. But in fact, she gave birth to the child and raised the child single-handedly. The relationship between Zhang Shuer and Su Yang is more complicated because there is Li Feixuan in between. The former young Master Su was polite and courteous to others. He often ate and watched movies with Li Feixuan and Zhang Shuer. The three of them always appear together, whether in school or after school. Zhang Shuer was not from Jiangbei. About 10 years ago, the head of the Zhang family brought her to the Zhang family, saying that she was the daughter of a distant relative. Regarding Zhang Shuer's identity, there are rumors among Jiangbei's celebrity circles that she is the illegitimate daughter of the head of the Zhang family, but no one knows whether it is true or not. In short, after Zhang Shuer came to Jiangbei, she formed a deep friendship with Li Feixuan, and at the same time integrated into Su Yang and Li Feixuan. Because everyone speculated that Zhang Shuer was the illegitimate daughter of the head of the Zhang family, Almost everyone in the Zhang family bullied Zhang Shuai except the head of the Zhang family. In those 5 years, Su Yang, as the eldest son of the Su family, protected Zhang Shuai time and time again. Over time, Zhang Shuai naturally developed indescribable feelings for Su Yang. But she knew that Li Feixuan was engaged to Su Yang, and her best friend was her fiancé who liked boys. Therefore, Li Feixuan could only bury this love in her heart and never showed her feelings. Until 5 years ago, Su Yang broke into her room, and the two had that kind of relationship, which completely broke the deadlock. Zhang Shuai left Jiangbei afterwards. According to her plan, she would never return to Jiangbei again in her life. But Su Yuya grew up and became sensible. From time to time, she held her chin in a daze, missing her father. Su Yuya asked Zhang Shuai more than once where her father was, but Zhang Shuai responded casually every time. She could tell that her daughter longed for her father's love. Without her father around, she would be unhappy all day long. In recent days, Su Yuya's situation has become more serious. After careful consideration, Zhang Shuai decided not to let her daughter have any regrets, so she brought Su Yuya to Jiangbei. Su Yang, I hope you can be a good father and don't let you down, and don't let me down. Zhang Shuai looked at the riverside villa from a distance, and then disappeared into the darkness. When she came to Jiangbei this time, besides sending Su Yuya to meet Su Yang, she also had another purpose, which was to meet Su Xiantian. Originally, she only thought that Su Xiantian was a young master, a master in his 20s, with very good talent. Therefore, Zhang Shuai wants to win over Su Xiantian and make Su Xiantian a friend of Jimin Black Market. But at that time, she didn't pay much attention to Su Xiantian. But what happened a few days ago changed Zhang Shuai's view of Su Xiantian. This Su Xiantian was actually able to wipe out the half-step earth section. He went on a massacre at the border of eastern Xinjiang, killing 80,000 people, including 2 mid-level masters and 1 half-step earth sect. It is simply astonishing that someone in his early 20s could possess such great strength. Therefore, Zhang Shuai began to pay attention to Su Xiantian and made up her mind that no matter what the cost, Su Xiantian must become an ally of Jimin Black Market. At the same time, Jiangbei Pingdao Martial Arts School. ITO, the Earth Sect Master sent by Country D, is wearing a training uniform and holding a samurai sword, and is practicing in a single room of the martial arts hall. I saw him with one leg in front, bent, leaning forward, holding the katana in both hands, his eyes sharp and extraordinary, standing motionless. There was no aura emanating from his body, just like a wooden stake, ordinary. Kill. But the next moment, ITO suddenly shouted loudly, and a terrifying murderous intention instantly swept across the audience. Almost at the same time, the katana in his hand struck out, carrying powerful power, and the crushing air exploded and buzzed. Boom! In the blink of an eye, the prop wooden stake 5 meters away was hit by the sword energy and turned into pieces. ITO Senpai, is this the legendary Itoryu? The master of Hiroshima Dojo next to him asked cautiously with a look of shock on his face. ITO nodded lightly, retracted his katana, and said with a smile, my understanding of the one-sword style can only be said to be average, and I have not yet completely mastered it. Ah, how terrifying is the real Itoryu! The owner was very shocked and deliberately flattered ITO. Haha, there is no doubt that the one-sword style is the strongest attack method in Country D. ITO showed a smile, and then asked, have you found out the whereabouts of Su Xiantian? Not yet. The owner of the museum shook his head and said, Susuanation's origin is mysterious. No one knows who he studied under or where he lives. However, after asking around at our hidden stakes, we found out a piece of useful information. The owner continued, about a few days ago, the head of the Li family, one of the 4 major families in Jiangbei, Li Chunfeng, received a tea brick named Wealthy Flowers on his birthday. and that tea brick was bought by Su Xiantian at the Jimen black market. Logically speaking, only Su Xiantian would own it. The person who gave the gift must be Su Xiantian. The owner guessed, therefore, Senior ITO, I suspect that Su Xiantian has a relationship with the Li family, otherwise he would not give gifts. Hearing this, ITO said calmly, that's easy. Just send people to the Li family, control everyone in the Li family, and then spread the news to force Su Xiantian to show up. If Su Xiantian doesn't come, then kill everyone in the Li family. It's just a small family and there's nothing to be afraid of. ITO said casually, it seemed that the lives of dozens of people in the Li family were like ants in his eyes. ITO senpai. The owner of the museum was puzzled. The head of the Li family, Li Chunfeng, is a famous master in Jiangbei. It is said that everyone who has seen him use his sword is dead. I have just stepped into the realm of the master, so I am afraid I will not be his opponent. Is it? When ITO heard this, he suddenly showed a disdainful smile. Xiao Jiangbei, if there is any master, I will do this myself, and you can lead the way. But we have to wait until tomorrow night. Tonight is my time to recuperate. As he said that, Ito's eyes fell on the owner of the hall and asked, are you ready for the 2 lactating women I asked you to prepare? It's ready. It has been sent to your room, the owner said hurriedly. Ito nodded, an evil smile appeared on his old and withered face, then he hunched over and walked to his room. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 169. The next day. Early morning. Su Yang was still sleeping when he suddenly felt itchy on his face, so he opened his eyes and saw Su Yuyu holding her hair and gently sliding it on his face. Yuyu, you woke up so early, Su Yang showed a smile and said softly. Yeah. Su Yuyu smiled happily and said, Yuyu doesn't have the habit of sleeping in. She gets up very early every day. Immediately afterwards, a sweet smile appeared on Su Yuyu's cute face, and she said coquettishly, Dad Su, Yuyu is so hungry, and her belly is almost starving. Can you take me out for breakfast? Ha ha. Su Yang sat up, rubbed his daughter's little head, smiled softly and said, the food bought outside is not healthy, can Daddy cook it for you? Dad can also cook, Su Yuyu asked in surprise. Of course, Dad's cooking skills are very good. Su Yang got out of bed, smiled and said, let's go to the kitchen together and see what's delicious. Su Yuyu nodded happily, and then went to the kitchen downstairs with Su Yang. In the past, Su Shenbing would occasionally come to the riverside villa to stay for a few days, so fresh ingredients were regularly stored in the kitchen refrigerator. Su Yang opened the refrigerator and saw tomatoes, noodles, and some eggs. Do you like tomato and egg noodles? Su Yang asked with a smile. Su Yuyu nodded frequently, I like it. I like to eat whatever Dad Su makes. Okay, you wait in the restaurant. Dinner will be served in 10 minutes. Su Yang kindly rubbed his daughter's long hair. But Su Yuyu hugged Su Yang tightly and said stubbornly, no, I want to accompany Su's father. Su Yang smiled and started making breakfast. Tomato and egg noodles are the simplest ingredients, but if you want to make them delicious, it also tests your cooking skills. Although Su Yang is not good at cooking, he has practiced for 100,000 years and has been exposed to those old guys in the Xiantian immortal domain who claim to be the god of food. His cooking skills are naturally not bad, and his cooking skills will definitely surpass all the chefs on the earth. After all, he used dragon meat to make barbecue, made soup with suanwu, and also ate a lot of phoenix wings. Now, even though he only has simple ingredients, Su Yang is confident that he can make something different. There are no real energy fluctuations in my daughter's body. She doesn't seem to have a special constitution. Maybe it has something to do with my body. After all, young Master Su is just a loser in cultivation. At this moment, Su Yang looked at Su Yuyu carefully and said to himself, however, my daughter is still young and her qualifications can be gradually improved. When cooking later, I will incorporate a little spiritual energy into her body to nourish her body and improve his physique. In the Xiantian immortal realm, many people will gain powerful physiques right after they are born. Such as the desolate body, the chaotic body, the god body, and other various physiques. With a strong physique, you will get twice the result with half the effort when practicing, and your future is limitless. But this kind of physical constitution is largely genetic or atavistic. Young Master Su is just an ordinary person with no martial arts talent. The Su family is just a small family on earth. You don't need to ask to know that no one in your ancestors has a special physique. Therefore, Su Yuyu will naturally not receive the inheritance and is just an ordinary child. But, in addition to genetic atavism, many physical constitutions can be developed through acquired means. Now that he knew that Su Yuyu was his daughter, Su Yang naturally had to make preparations in advance to pave the way for his daughter to start cultivating immortality. So, he injected spiritual energy into the ingredients without leaving any trace. As long as the spiritual energy is not used to elevate one's realm, subsequent practice will have no limitations and will be harmless. Not long after, the fragrant tomato egg noodles were ready. Su Yang and Su Yuyu came to the restaurant together and enjoyed a simple breakfast. Wow! Su Yuyu took a bite of the noodles, her eyes suddenly lit up, and she smiled happily, Dad Su, it's so delicious. This is the best tomato and egg noodles I have ever eaten. Besides, it feels warm in your stomach after eating it, and your body feels very comfortable. Dad Su, can you teach me how you did it? Su Yuyu asked. Su Yang rubbed his daughter's hair. He had done so 3 times today, but he still couldn't help it. Then he smiled and said, Yuyu, you don't have to learn, Dad will be with you. If you like to eat, Dad will always give it to you, you do. Su Yuyu nodded excitedly, but then she became frustrated, but, Mother will come to take Yuyu home in a few days, and then she won't be able to see Father Su. Seeing his daughter's expression, Su Yang felt as if a knife had been pulled in his heart. He felt extremely uncomfortable, so he promised, Yuyu, if you like Daddy, you can always stay with Daddy. No one can take you away. Dad Su. Su Yuyu met Su Yang's gaze, tears welling up in her big black eyes, and she didn't know what she was thinking. After pausing for a few seconds, Su Yuyu took a deep breath and showed a forced smile. Hey, Dad Su, you have written down these words, and you are not allowed to regret it. Yes, Su Yang nodded seriously. La la la, Dad Su, I won't talk to you anymore. It's delaying Yuyu from eating tomato and egg noodles. Su Yuyu is a child after all, and sadness can come and go quickly. After a while, Su Yuyu ate half of the tomato and egg noodles made by Su Yang, which surprised Su Yang. You know, Su Yang made a lot of food. Not to mention a 4-year-old child, even a normal adult would not be able to eat so much. Burp, I'm so full, I feel like my belly is about to explode. Su Yuyu gently stroked her bulging belly, and then said with a smile, Dad Su, what are you looking at me for? If you don't eat it quickly, the noodles will not taste good if they stick together. Su Yang smiled, then picked up a bowl of tomato and egg noodles and prepared to eat it. But at this moment, he suddenly noticed that Li Feixuan was coming, so he put down his chopsticks. Soon, Li Feixuan walked into the villa carrying a breakfast box and saw Su Yang and Su Yuyu in the living room. Su Yang, Yuyu, I brought it to you. As Su Yuyu was talking, she saw the tomato and egg noodles on the dining table, and smiled and said, I didn't expect you guys to have eaten them already. Su Yang, the tomato and egg noodles look quite appetizing. Did you make them? Su Yang nodded, then smiled softly and said, the ones bought outside are not healthy. Do you want a bowl of noodles? TCH, what you cook must be dark cuisine, I won't eat it. Li Fixuan curled her lips. Teacher Li, I've already tasted it for you. It's delicious at this time, Su Yu invited, you should give it a try. I'm sure your eyes will light up. Yu said so, Su Yang, I'll give you a face, just try to eat 2 bites. Concubine Li smiled and then sat down, but after she took a bite of tomato and egg noodles, she couldn't stop. She ate the remaining half of the pot of noodles in one go, not even letting go of the soup. Belch. Li Fixuan also burped, and then looked at Su Yang in surprise. It's so delicious, Su Yang. I didn't expect your bottom to be so delicious. I still want to eat your bottom. When will you give it to me again? Urban Super Dude. Author, Eagle in the Desert. Chapter 170. Ahem. Hearing Li Fixuan's words, Su Yang touched the bridge of his nose and said, when the two of us are alone, you can eat from me at any time. Why do you only feed me food when we are alone? As Li Fixuan was talking, she suddenly felt a will running over her face turned red, and she gritted her teeth and said, Su Yang, you are so boring, why are you driving in front of your children? Driving, Su Yu looked confused and said doubtfully, Dad Su has been at home and has not driven. Teacher Li, why can't I understand what you are talking about? This. Seeing this, Concubine Li hurriedly explained, Yu, on the way here just now, I saw a driver who looked very similar to Su Yang, and I thought it was him. Oh, so that's it. Su Yu nodded as if she understood, but her eyes curved into crescent shapes, obviously knowing something. The explanation is over. Li Fixuan breathed a sigh of relief, and gave Su Yang a hard look for fear of teaching bad things to the children. Then, Li Fixuan seemed to have thought of something, and asked curiously, Yu, what did you call Su Yang just now? Dad Su. Su Yu said obediently. Li Fixuan was even more puzzled, why did you call him daddy? Yu doesn't have a father. She grew up with her mother. Uncle Su is very good to Yu. Yunyu misses her father, so. As Su Yu spoke, her eye circles turned red and she looked pitiful. I'm sorry, Yu, Teacher Li mentioned your sadness. Li Fixuan was a little overwhelmed and hurriedly comforted her, Yu, Su Yang will be your father from now on. Don't be sad. Can we take you to the amusement park later? Really, Su Yu said in surprise, Yu has never been to an amusement park. Is it really okay? Never been to an amusement park? Right. It is normal for children who grew up with their mother, who is busy with work, not to go to the amusement park. Why? What a poor child. Li Fixuan was overflowing with motherly love in an instant. She knelt down and rubbed Su Yu's little head, and said softly, of course it's true. Let's go now. Great, Yo-Yo can go to the amusement park. Su Yu happily spun around in circles, clapping her hands as she spun around. Seeing Su Yu so happy, Li Fixuan also smiled, and then took out an alpine lollipop from her pocket. Yu, Teacher Li passed by the small shop this morning and bought you a candy, strawberry flavored, I don't know if you like to eat it. I like it, thank you Teacher Li. Su Yu took the lollipop and kissed Li Fixuan on the face. This made Li Fixuan very happy, and she slowly raised her hand to wipe the drool from her face. At the same time, I was thinking, strange, why is it that Yo-Yo, like Su Yang, leaves saliva on other people's faces when they kiss them? Long. Just when Li Fixuan was curious, Su Yang's eyes fell on her daughter, shook her head and said, you can't eat sweets in the morning, it's not good for your teeth. Ah, I'll just eat a little. Su Yu rolled her big eyes and begged, Dad Su, can you please? No, children can't eat sweets in the morning. Su Yang refused seriously. Oh well. Su Yuya was slightly disappointed, but soon became happy and urged, "Dad Su, can we go to the amusement park now?" Su Yang nodded, then looked at Li Feichuan and said with a smile, "Honey, do you have any classes at school today?" "Yes, elective courses." "Then why did you ask to go to the amusement park instead of going to class?" Su Yang asked. "Didn't Yuya cry just now?" "I was coaxing her." Li Feichuan whispered, "But it doesn't matter. The worst is that I will skip class." "Honey, you are a good student, how can you skip class?" "Do you want to take care of it?" Li Feichuan rolled her eyes at Su Yang and complained, "I only have sex once in a while, but you don't go to school every day. Compared with you, I am still a good student." "Ha ha." Su Yang smiled and then said, "Honey, eating too much candy is bad for your teeth. Don't buy candy for Yu in the future." "Well, I understand." Li Feichuan nodded in agreement, "You're right, it's true. You've considered it carefully. I won't buy it next time. Have you finished eating? If not, hurry up and eat. After that, we will go to Happy Valley." Li Feichuan smoothed her hair in front of her forehead and smiled softly, "I was browsing Douyin a few days ago and saw a video of Happy Valley in the same city. There are roller coasters, Ferris wheels, merry-go-rounds, and many other projects. I've wanted to go there for a long time. I'm not hungry. I usually don't eat in the morning." Su Yang smiled and said, "Honey, you're exposed. I think you want to go to the amusement park, right?" Li Feichuan didn't expect that Su Yang would see through her little thoughts, so she covered it up and said, "Don't talk nonsense, I mainly want to accompany you." "Ha ha." Su Yang did not continue this topic. Next, Su Yang drove a Ferrari and drove Li Feichuan and Su Yuya to Happy Valley. It didn't take long for the three of them to arrive at their destination. "Wow, what a big Ferris wheel. There is a roller coaster. Dad Su, Teacher Li, I'm scared. Can you play with me? Look, the little internet celebrity train consumes 100 kilometers, one dad, haha, Dad Su, I want to play with this." Su Yuya came to Happy Valley and had a great time, with a happy smile always on her young face. Su Yang and Li Feichuan played with her for most of the day. The strange thing is that Su Yuya seems to have endless energy, playing for several hours without even breaking a sweat. At the beginning, Li Feichuan was particularly curious about Happy Valley and played several projects. But gradually, Li Feichuan couldn't stand it anymore. She was too tired and some of the projects were scary, so she sat in the pavilion to rest. Before I knew it, it was already noon. Su Yuya's stomach growled with hunger before she was willing to leave Happy Valley with Su Yang and Li Feichuan. About half an hour later, the three of them came to Joseph's restaurant and ordered some delicious food, and then Li Feichuan went to the toilet. While waiting for the meal, Su Yuya saw the children at the next table eating sweets, and kept licking her mouth, obviously craving for them. "Yuya, you wait here, don't go anywhere, I'm going out to buy something." Seeing this, Su Yang showed a smile. Su Yuya said obediently, "Yeah, Dad Su, come back quickly." "Good." Su Yang nodded and walked out of the restaurant. When he came back again, he had a lollipop in his hand and said like a treasure, "Yuya, what do you think this is?" "Lollipop." Su Yuya's eyes suddenly lit up and she smiled happily, "Dad Su, are you going to buy me candy?" "Well, take it and eat it." Su Yang thoughtfully opened the wrapping paper, handed the candy to his daughter, and at the same time ruffled her daughter's hair lovingly. "Thank you, Dad Su." Su Yuya took the lollipop and put it directly into her mouth, feeling extremely satisfied. "It's grape-flavored, so delicious, hee hee." Seeing her daughter so happy, Su Yang also became happy, her eyes full of doting. At this time, Li Feichuan came over. Seeing this scene, she couldn't help but smile and said, "Su Yang, You really have double standards. You didn't let me buy candy for you, but you ended up buying it for her yourself.